Bobby Hazard, right over here. Bobby and I just go back for the very first early days of surfing of Santa Barbara. That's all it is. And he was. You were in the. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were the Henry Beach crowd over there, and I was the Miramar. And Joel, you were a Miramar, then a Henry Beach, and back and forth. It never ended. And Rincon, boy, we had. Believe it, people, we had Rincon all to ourselves. And even to give you an idea how Rincon was, we had rules. When you went out at Rincon and you saw a set coming in, you would just turn to the person next to you. You want the first one? Because I think I'll take the second. I'm going to take the third. And it was always a gentleman's rule. You never took off on a wave with somebody else on it. And I don't think that's true anymore. I've been talking to you and I didn't even. I'm sorry. Kathy has been on Facebook. Oh. I thought you lived far away from here.
I took a vacation.
Okay.
Where does she live?
Don't you live up in Spokane?
Right.
Wow.
She's all the way from. I didn't realize that. And this guy
was about 55, 56, someplace in there. My dad, my older brother Bob and my dad wanted us to have the hunting experience. He wasn't a hunter, so we joined the Federated Sportsman Club. We went hunting over in the San Ynez Valley. There were several ranches that were part of the Sportsman Club. And so I had gone hunting at the Hollister Ranch with a group of older men. I was 12, 13 years old. And I was surfing. I had a surfboard at Miramar Beach. I kept in the lockers down at the Miramar boardwalk down there. And but we only surfed swells. I had a big old balsa Simmons. And so, as time went along, I was looking for other places. So this trip to the Hollister Ranch to go hunting, I saw Little Drakes. That was the only place we were allowed to camp, was at Little Drakes. So I saw there was a break there, but the board I had, I was pretty sure I couldn't ride it. It was too quick and it was peaked up a little bit too much. So I didn't go back to the Hollister Ranch until Tommy Rowland and I went. Kip Alberg did an article, and Tommy didn't seem to remember the day, but I'm telling you, it was him. He had an old black Model A Ford, no floorboards. You could see the road going by underneath you there, going to the ranch. We tore out the canvas top. It was a four-door Model A. We tore out the canvas top. He had a paddleboard. He didn't have a surfboard then. And I had this big old Simmons sticking down through the top. And off up the road we go, 45, 50 miles an hour. And we get up to Gaviota, we turn off, and of course it's all dirt road into the ranch. And so I'm telling Tommy where to go. We're zigzagging around. Well, how much further? Well, it's not much further. It's just a little ways, two more turns here. So we finally get to Little Drakes. This is the spot. This is it. So that dirt road, you can imagine what these two guys look like with dust coming up through. We looked like a couple of raccoons, I swear to God. It just like we were just total black with dust. So I was right. We get the paddleboard out of the car, we get the old Simmons out of the car, and we go to paddle out there at Little Drakes, and it's curling up and snapping. I took off on one wave and just did the old clam digger special. Right into the bottom and over I went. Tommy paddled around on his paddleboard a little bit, took it back to the beach and wanted to try my board. He did pretty much the same thing. So that was our first trip to the ranch. And that's what set me on this, we got to build a different kind of board. Now I know the guys down south, Rennie and Hobie and all the rest of those guys were way ahead of us. The surfing had started down there. It was moving along a lot quicker. So they had boards that were actually more suited to surf that kind of stuff. So I needed to learn some stuff. So Tucker's mom was good enough to let me use the tool shed in the backyard, and we started doing boards out of that tool shed. And Joe Clayton came along a year or so later, and there were, Andy Newman was around. He was my younger brother Dave's best buddy, and they got into surfing probably about 58, 59, something like that. And you know, that's my story about the ranch, other than it's still my favorite place of all places to surf. As boards got better and as I got better, I enjoyed some of my best surfing out there at the ranch. And more recently, I was at Jeff's place up on top of that gorgeous 500-foot hill overlooking the ranch. And he's telling me, he says, well, right over there's John's Pond. Really? Jeez, I hadn't even been there for years and years and years, and I didn't know anybody else knew about it. So later that day, we went for a drive down on the beach, and sure enough, there was John's Pond. And guess who was at John's Pond?
John.
Sailboarding. Or kite surfing. I can't remember kite surfing.
Kite surfing.
Jerry Shalhoub. Some things don't change. So anyway, that's my story.
Two people carrying boards, two people, one in the back and one in the front. And we went on at Government. We were really impressed with the crystal clear water and the quality of wave. It had wind on it, so it held up real well. And we were surfing there for an hour or so, and then we got spooked. A great white came in and scared everybody out of the water. So we started walking back to Coho, and there's a little point just south of Government, and I suggested we go out there. And Jimmy Gray was with me and my brother, and I guess Jimmy Gray said, well, we're going to call it Perkos. And that's how it stuck. And then we started surfing. Mainly we surfed left and rights up there. And then Bobby Hazard and some of the other people who were going up there discovered rights and lefts. And they started surfing little drakes and big drakes. And we would drive up the beach from Ranch House instead of going out. The roads weren't paved then. So if you drove up there, you usually got you could spit dust out, your nose was full of it. You were covered with it by the time you got to the surfing spot. So we tried to, instead of riding on the roads, we wanted to ride on the beach. And the first summer that we started driving on the beach, there was a big surf and a lot of kelp on the beach, and people get stuck on these big kelp mounds. And I don't know, you mentioned Fig Newton.
Oh, yeah.
Fig Newton was a surfer here in Santa Barbara. And he went up there alone one day and got stuck on one of the kelp beds. And his car was just, the waves were breaking over it, and he finally got out of there. And so he lost his car, and I guess several people lost their cars. There was another surfer up there, Bill Lasarzik. I think he was the heir for the Rutherford Ranch and the Sargent Ranch, where the Coomber Plaza is. The family owned all that property. And he was very enamored with dynamite. And he took dynamite up there a couple times and blew up a couple cars for the fun of it. I think he even put dynamite in the dead whale that was on the beach.
I remember that.
When I was living on the Hammonds estate, I found out he stored dynamite under my house without telling me, which kind of pissed me off. Anyway.